Tisha B'Av, we're thinking about the temple, we're thinking about the close relationship we had with God, and about what we lost. Can you imagine if we lived in the time of the temple and then saw it lost and burnt? God sent Jeremiah, Yirmiyahu, out of the city, so he should not be the witness to the destruction of the first temple. I watched two fighters of the 1948 war in the Jewish quarter of Jerusalem tell the story of watching the Horva synagogue being blown up across the square from them. And I thought they were going to have a heart attack because they were reliving that moment. There are many people who went through the fighting in 1948 in the Old City who never came back. It was too painful for them to relive the trauma. Some of our great sages who watched and experienced and served God in the Second Temple had a similar experience. The Talmud says in Makot, page 24, that Rabbi Gamliel, who was the Nasi, the great Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, Rabbi Yeshua, who together with Rabbi Eliezer had carried Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai's live body out of the city so they could meet Vespasian and ask for Yavna, and Rabbi Akiva were on the way and heard the revelry coming from the Romans enjoying life to the hilt. And they broke down crying. And Rabbi Akiva's laughing. And he says, "Why are you laughing, Rabbi Akiva?" He said, "Why are you crying?" He says, "Because these people are bowing down to emptiness and serving incense to idolatry. And they're sitting absolutely secure and enjoying life. And we, the footstool of our Lord, is burnt. Shall we not cry?" He said, "That's exactly why I'm laughing." Take the broader perspective. If that's what the people who go against his will do, can you imagine what's going to be in the future when those who serve his will be rewarded? Another time, they were going up to Jerusalem, and once they reached Harot Sofim, the Outlook Mountain, there's a discussion where that point is. They ripped their clothes because they were overlooking the destruction. When they reached the Temple Mount, they saw a shu'al. There's a discussion what a shu'al is, a wild animal coming out of the place where the Holy of Holies was. Everybody starts crying, and again, Rabbi Akiva is misachek or mitzachek. He's laughing, or he's smiling, and they say, "Why are you laughing?" He says, "Why are you crying?" He says, "Because in the place where it says, if the stranger who is not the Kohen goes in, he shall surely die. If in that place now shualim hilchu bo, now the wild animals are going in, we should not cry." He says, "That's exactly why I'm laughing." Isaiah says a mysterious prophecy. "I'm setting up reliable witnesses, Uriah the Kohen and Zechariah ben Yebrachayahu." Rabbi Akiva points out, why are you putting these two people together? Uriah is in the time of the first temple, Zechariah is in the time of the second temple. There must be a relationship. So he says, until it made one prophecy dependent on the other. So in Uriah it says, "Lachem biglalchem tzion sadet haresh," because of your actions, Zion will be plowed over like a field, it will be desolate. In Zechariah it says, "There will yet again be old men and old women in the squares of Jerusalem, and boys and girls playing in the streets, and a man with a staff in his hands because of his many days." Ad shalom niskayim v'niviyot shel Uriah, until I didn't personally see the prophecy of Uriah, I was afraid that maybe we're not going to merit the prophecy of Zechariah. But now that I see with my own eyes the prophecy of Uriah, and Isaiah said that they are reliable witnesses, Uriah is a reliable witness, so Zechariah is a reliable witness. So I'm already seeing the prophecy. I'm already seeing children playing. I'm already seeing the old who need to be protected, walking and enjoying in Jerusalem. I can see it now. They said to him as follows, "Akiva nichamtanu, Akiva nichamtanu, Akiva, you have comforted us, Akiva, you have comforted us." And the version of the Ein Yaakov closes the tractate with saying, "Hashem yinachamenu, amen." May God comfort us, amen. We are overlooking the Temple Mount. We're overlooking that scene. The temple is not built. But children are playing in Jerusalem. We can smell it a little bit. Old men and old women are walking in Jerusalem. We can smell it a little bit. People with canes are walking in Jerusalem. We can smell it a little bit. May we merit the whole way seeing the temple being rebuilt.
Barnea just beautifully shared with us the famous story of Rabbi Akiva, who goes up to Har HaTzofim, directly across from us, where we can see Hebrew University till today, and overlooking Har HaBayit, together with Rabbi Yeshua, Rabbi Gamliel, Rabbi Elazar. And as they see foxes running out of the destroyed Kodesh Kodashim, they cry, and Rabbi Akiva laughs. And when they ask him incredulously, Rabbi Akiva, why are you laughing? And he says, why are you crying? He says, again, because now I understand the Nevuah of Yeshayahu, who placed Uriah, living during the time of the first Beit HaMikdash, together in the same pasuk with Zachariah, living during the time of the second Beit HaMikdash, to teach us that just as Uriah's Nevuah of destruction came true again, so too Zachariah's Nevuah of rebuilding Yerushalayim are going to come true again. And they respond to him, Akiva Nichamtanu, reverberating with the words that we're going to hear this Shabbat of Nevuat Yeshayahu, Nachamu Ami. Rabbi Akiva, you have taught us the secret of Nechama. You have taught us how to be consoled. And the question is, what is the secret of Rabbi Akiva? Why is it that he's able to laugh? How does he teach us the message of Nechama? Is it merely that he's a Talmud of Rav Nachum Ish Gamzu, who tells us, Gamzu l'tovah, that whatever terrible situation in which we find ourselves, not to worry, it will lead to something good? Or is it that, as Rav Kook explains, Rabbi Akiva, whose neshama left with the words V'ahavtat Hashem Elokecha, with Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, someone who can leave this world with the word Echad, Ra'oi lo sheyamer na'elo, he can say Shir Hashirim hu Kodesh Kadoshim. And what does that mean? Rabbi Akiva, who understands Shir Hashirim, love of man to woman, love of man to God, V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, man to man. Rabbi Akiva understands that Shir Hashirim is our never-ending love story with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, all the vicissitudes, the highs and the lows of our relationship, a galut and geula. He knows that the story doesn't end, and therefore Rabbi Akiva, when he looks at the present, he doesn't just see the present. He can already see the future. As Rav Kook says, he can already see the beautiful sun rising amidst the darkness. And that's why, as we recite in the night of the Seder, all the Rebbeim come to Bnei Brak, to their Talmud, to Rabbi Akiva, so that they can hear his words amidst the dark times of the Hadrianic persecutions, so that they can hear Higia Zman Kriyat Shema Shel Shacharit, so that they know that Kabbalat Malchut Shamayim, that Kriyat Shema, yes, is going to be accompanied with the first rays of the sun, with a geula that's already rising. That's Rabbi Akiva, who we know not only from Makot, but also from Masechet Sanhedrin Kuf Aleph. Again, when Rabbi Akiva, accompanied by his peers and Rebbeim, see Rabbi Eliezer in a terrible state of suffering, they cry and they say, here's the Sefer Torah who's suffering. And Rabbi Akiva laughs and they ask him, how can you laugh? And he says, because, don't you see, he's suffering in this world, but he's going to go into the next world. For Rabbi Akiva, nothing is frozen in the present. We can't just look at the present in a vacuum, but we have to realize that it propels us to the next stage. And maybe we can truly understand this if we go back to the first time where we see Rabbi Akiva and Echad. For Rabbi Akiva, the past, the present, and the future are really all one. The Nevuot of Zachariah are already being fulfilled. And that, as we know, is the famous story in Menachot Chavtet, wherein Moshe Rabbeinu is in the base medrash of Rabbi Akiva, and he's very despaired as he doesn't understand any of the drushot, the explanations of Rabbi Akiva. As he finally gets to Higia L'Davar Echad, and his Talmidim ask him, Rabbi Minayin Lacha, and he says, Halacha L'Moshe Misinai. And what is this Davar Echad that Rabbi Akiva is explaining? I believe it's Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad. It's the Mesirut Nefesh that we express in every generation. That's what Rabbi Akiva is able to extrapolate from every keter, from every kutzol shayud. He understands that it's not just what it seems right in front of us. He can pick out the golden hay, the straw from his wife's hair, and he can already see Yerushalayim Shel Zahav. He understands that not everything is as it appears to us right now. When we look at a destroyed Kodesh Kodashim, he says, can't you already see the Nevuot of Zachariah? And notice that he doesn't quote the Nevuot of the rebuilding of Yerushalayim, of the Beis HaMikdash of Zachariah, but rather, he quotes the pasuk of the intergenerational prophecies of the old and the young being able to settle Yerushalayim together, because for Rabbi Akiva, the present is not just right now what we see, but rather it's taking the past into account. Halacha l'Moshe Sinai. It's about continuing the chain, the Mesorah, and it's about propelling ourselves already to the future. It's about recognizing that there is a responsibility that we have, even in the present, to bring something about and what will hopefully be the near future. And even in today's pandemics, Rabbi Akiva teaches us the message of Nechama. Nechama isn't about laughter of happiness. It's about the laughter that enables us to overcome despair, because we know that it's accompanied by commitment and responsibility. And that's what gives us hope, to ensure that it's going to bring about, that it will propel us to the trajectory of a much greater future.